Yo book nerds! Today I am going to talk to you about Indian No More, which is by Charlene McManis with Traci Sorell. And Traci Sorell was one of the writers that contributed to Ancestor Approved. So if you haven't watched my video about this, go check it out. So this book is middle grade and it is about a little girl named Regina, and she is Native American. I'm going to say this wrong, so I'm sorry, I'm trying my best, but she is from an Umpqua tribe, and this book takes place in the 1950s, and her tribe has been terminated. So the government basically says that her tribe doesn't exist and she's not considered Indian anymore, or Native American. She uses the word Indian, so I'm going to use that, as that is the word they have been using in the book. So she is Indian. She has been raised in this tribe and she knows it in her soul. Like, that is part of her identity. And then it is taken away from her. And now she feels very lost. She's a young girl. She doesn't understand that she's quote unquote not an Indian anymore. She wrestles with that idea throughout the book. And she has to move off of her reservation. So they move from their reservation in Oregon to Los Angeles once their tribe is terminated. And they face a lot of stereotypes, a lot of racism, and it's just a whirlwind that she has to go through, and she's trying to navigate this new world. While reading this, it just baffles me that like history is repeating itself. So basically it reminds me of how Native Americans were forced off their land to these reservations, and then now once they're on these reservations, now again they're being forced off of this land. It's just unfair and cruel and harsh. And it also reminded me of Japanese internment camps where they were removed from their homes and made to go somewhere else. And that's the vibes that I get here. There's a lot of similarities, I think, except for the fact that both of these things, Japanese internment camps and termination of tribes, are real American history. But I knew about the internment camps, but I had no idea that termination of tribes was a real thing. That the government could just decide that's not a tribe anymore, and you lose all the rights that come along with being a tribe. There is a lot of stereotypes in here, trigger warning for that. They're there on purpose because these stereotypes exist and people have really faced these things, but the stereotypes are just very, very blunt, so I will warn you on that. Regina meets little children that have these ideas of what an Indian is, or what a real Indian is, and they try to tell her to like make a teepee and shoot bow and arrows and like prove that she's an Indian by doing these things, when Regina is like, we don't make teepees. My tribe doesn't make teepees. What are teepees? And her dad is like, yeah, we don't do that. But she like argues with her dad, like, but these kids say that Native Americans, that Indians make teepees, so we must not be Indian. And it's this big loop. Like, she's so confused about what's going on because she's young, because I don't remember exactly how old she is, but she's in middle school. I'm trying to look and see if it says how old she was because I don't remember. I'm sure it says, but I can't find it quickly, so she's in middle school. Other stereotypes don't come from the kids, they come from adults. She's enrolled in a new school, and here comes Thanksgiving, and they put on a Thanksgiving play, and she has to wear these costumes that depict Native Americans in a certain way, and she's very uncomfortable, and her family is very uncomfortable at these depictions. Her grandmother, who's called Chich in this, tells her a lot of stories and a lot of like life lessons, and I liked that back and forth between the grandmother and Regina, and it reminded me somewhat of Maisie Chen's Last Chance right here, because in this, Maisie's grandpa has a lot of back and forth and tells her a lot of stories too. There is a scene in here, so again, trigger warning, they do say the N-word, and I was very shocked that I would read that in a middle grade book, but they do say it because there's a racist event that happens. Some boys on Halloween some white boys egg Regina and a black family that she's out trick-or-treating with. And that scene is very raw and emotional. I think the main thing that I took away from this is that other people are trying to dictate her culture, and no one should be told what your culture should or should not be. And Regina's very confused by this, obviously. And some of her experiences are invalidated, and that should not happen. Everyone has their own experiences and their feelings are valid, and no one should be taking that away from you, I guess. And no one should be saying, you're not Indian if you aren't like this, or any other thing. You can't be this because you don't meet these criteria that I've set down for you. It's just so wrong, and that's the key theme that I take away from this story. Regina, unfortunately, pretends to be something she's not in order to get accepted. There are times where she pretends to be the Indian that these other people have in their mind because she wants to be accepted in this new environment. So she's giving up her real tribe to be this fake thing that these people have set before her. And she struggles with it through the whole book. Even Regina's dad is struggling with it. He is trying his best to embrace their new life because he doesn't have any other choice, and he's trying to lead by example. And he says, we're American, let's be American. And it creates a lot of tension between him and Chich and a lot of confusion to Regina. And that is done very well, and it shows what a hard situation that would be to be in. Overall, though, this book has some issues. There's some editing issues that were really hard for me to get past. Like, there would be a line, it would literally say, so-and-so sat down, and then there'll be another sentence, and then it'll say, so-and-so sat down. It's like, wait a minute, they were already sitting. When did they stand back up? And it's like little things like that that really took me out of the story because it was jarring. And there's one time where they called a character by the wrong name, and it was like, wait a second, who's this? I think they mean this person, but they used the wrong name. And it's like, it's very jarring. So like, because of those editing issues, it really took me out of the story. So it really brings the story down on my ranking for the year. So it's not gonna be like in my top 5 for sure. Probably not even my top 10. But I feel like there's still good things to take away from this book, and I did learn a lot about something that I didn't even know was a real thing, the termination of tribes. I did not know that the government did that. I did not know that. So I do think it is good for people like me who have no idea about this. It's a good introduction, and it makes me curious and want to learn more. And I think it would definitely be a good book for its target audience because it's very easy to understand. And it simplifies things in a way that middle schoolers would be able to understand. Because this is some complex stuff, it really is. Another note though, I think this book would be good for many younger children to read right now, with it being October and Halloween is coming up, so that people do have some respect for people's cultures. If you've read this, let me know your thoughts in the comments and we will chat about it. That is all for me this week. I will talk to you guys next Monday. Hit like and subscribe. Thanks for talking books with me.